Long time no see, Ohio pullers and fans. Sorry, it's been quite a while. It's been a lot of chaos. So what we're gonna do is go over the last two updates that OPAR did. So let's get to it. Okay, so these are going to be the classes that we're going to go over today, including additions and removals of the pullers. At the Frankfurt charity event, we see here Terrence Allen pulling off a convincing win over Randall Bladen. So we don't have the video footage at this time for Kentucky State, but David Lee had a super match with Michael Pastorek for third place, and David Lee coming out on top. So in light of these events, David Lee now takes number 3, just ahead of Michael Pastorek. Terrence Allen now breaking into the top 5. Terrence Allen actually has a super match with David Lee, I believe, in December, so gonna see how that shakes things up. Moving on to the Lefty 154, Drew Hollinger here, taking major strides by pulling off a pretty substantial win over Randall Bladen. Not that we were able to recover any video footage, but apparently in late July there was a Fredericktown, Ohio event in which David Lee defeated Terrence Allen. One of them being a foul out at least, but nonetheless David Lee taking second over Terrence in these particular results. Chris Louis Sr. now reactivating himself by pulling Lefty in the East Pottery event this summer. So with all that said, Drew Hollinger now breaks into the top 3, just one ahead of David Lee, and followed by Terrence Allen. Chris Louis re-enters at number 11 for the time being. Onto the very competitive 176 Righty, we see Anatol Barsukov fighting from the B side at the Frankfurt charity event, pulling off the stunning upset over Travis Camp. Speaking of B side, we see Mike Brown hooking in with Jack Jacobson to get the win at the same charity event. So as it stands right now, Anatol breaks into the top 8, just one ahead of Travis Camp, and Mike Brown now sits at number 11. 198 Righty, huge changes there. So chronologically, we see Johnny Jarrett to our left making his way into the ranking by defeating Josh Croxall in the super match at the Pottery Festival. A few months back, Paul Talbot is just dominating Tennessee's Robbie Russell, who I believe is number 8 or number 9 in North America. Now, why is that relevant? Well, early this month, Quinlan Mendez had a super match with Robbie Russell. Robbie coming out on top with a sweep 3-0. A couple of weeks ago, Cody Smith making a huge statement, breaking into the top 10 Righty by beating Speedy Braccasola in the BAL super matches. And finally, the lethal lefty Logan Cooper debuts his right arm in West Virginia State. I know the video's kind of grainy, but we see him getting a win over Robert Barker. Speaking of Robert Barker, he asked to be removed from Masters to the Open 220. So a lot went down in the 198 Righty. Paul Talbot now crowned the top puller, both left and right. And then we've got Cody Smith, number 8, just one over Brock. Then Logan Cooper at number 13. We figured that that's a fair baseline because in light of defeating Robert Barker, Robert has never lost to Jeremy Deese whenever they would pull, so we think number 13 is a good spot for Logan to start. Then finally, Johnny Jarrett rests at number 18, just one above Josh Croxall after their super match. Not much to report in the 198 left, but Josh Rice's brother Jacob, to our right, debuts in the 198 class at the Frankfurt charity event. So in light of his debut tournament, Jacob Rice now at number 18 after a couple of removals due to inactivity. Josh Gerritsen to our left, he has shown a lot of strides in the class of 220. He actually should have been in the system back in January at the PAF event, but by mistake was overlooked. He pulled in the pottery event, as we could see here, and from what we understand, he did pretty good. We're unsure of where exactly to place him at this time, but we do know that he took a loss to Billy Collins back in the PAF, so that might be a super match well worth seeing. In the Fredericktown event, it looks like we've got old school Rob Ziegler back in the picture in the 220s, both right and left. So that's going to really stir the competition pot. Or in the 220, Robert Barker places second in the charity tournament in the Open 220 class, defeating fellow Brothers in Arms teammate Terry Williams. So with all that said, Robert Barker breaking into the top 5 in the 220 class. Josh Gerritsen at number 8, just one below Billy Collins. And then finally, Rob Ziegler sits at number 10. We're not exactly sure how much he's been training, but if he does start training pretty hard, he's going to really shake things up. As far as the 242 class is concerned, that's where Lucas Hensley has moved up, and we're just trying to analyze where he should be at this time. Through experience and strength, we think Lucas Hensley is comfortable at number 6, Righty. And same goes with his lefty. So for the supers right-handed, we had to do a little bit of a retcon. Back in the PAF in January, Brian Vollmer, he actually defeated Rich Gasky for first place in the PAF event. Rich then defeated Travis Pickering, giving him 3rd place. We've also had intel in West Virginia relay that Jamie Baker pulled off the upset over Tyler Irwin Righty. So as it stands now, we see Brian Vollmer at number 17, followed by Rich Gasky and Travis Pickering. Now, those 3 are going to be very subject to change because we still got to go over what happened at the payday pool. Apparently, they all were there, so that's probably going to be very temporary. Men's Supers lefty, James Cody Winland defeating Peter Storrs in the charity event. At that same event, we see Peter Storrs making a comeback win over Eric Fain. Another West Virginia State update from our intel is that Marshall Burns competed in the lefty and righty category, but he breaks into the lefty rankings by defeating Jamie Baker. So as it stands, we've got James Cody Winland at number 15, followed by Peter Storrs, Eric Fain, and Brandon Heath. So for the women's, we see that a Sarah Devlin to our left here making her debut in the what appears to be the Fredericktown tournament. She pulled both right and left. We have no idea what her weight threshold is at this time because that class in particular was an open class for women, no weight thresholds whatsoever. So she's going to be in the open class in the women's for now. So as I said, Sarah Devlin's going to start off in the women's unlimited right-hand class. And same goes for the lefty. Thanks so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your patience. We work very hard, and it's because of all of you that makes this possible for OPAR to keep going. This is your arm wrestling underdog. Let's continue to beat the odds.